The first one was a classic. Second one, not so much. Here we are yet again with the third installment in the Tales from the Hood anthology series. No one was really asking for this, but
I see dead people.
yeah, so if you are new to this Tales from the Hood universe of cinematography extraordinaire, started way back in the early 90s, I believe like 1995. It was a horror anthology that dealt with sort of classic tales involving sort of the hood aspect, or urban aspect to things other than, what was going around, like Tales from the Crypt style, but just done with urban stories as opposed to just normal generic horror stories.
Of revenge.
The dolls don't want you there. They want reparation.
Of horror.
He thinks he needs to kill the monster.
Now, your most terrifying nightmare and your most frightening reality are about to meet. On this.
Then it moved on to over 20 years later, and no one was asking for a sequel, or if you were asking for a sequel, you kind of just stopped wanting one after a while, and then suddenly we got one. Tales from the Hood 2 came out, and Keith David was actually taking the hosting duties on this one. And even though Keith David is awesome, the movie itself was really, really awful. I mean, horrendous. I mean, if you want to see my review, link will be down in the description box. It was god awful. Fast forward 2 years later, and the same people who were behind that tragedy is now back again to give us Tales from the Hood 3.
Do you see the bad things?
The bad things, they know how to hide.
This time played by Candyman, aka Tony Todd, is now taking the realm of sort of doing the hosting, but not quite like what we've seen before with the hosting. It starts off rather weird with Tony Todd's character and this little girl. And the little girl is basically telling Tony Todd all these stories. Kind of weird why she would know all these violent, weird, racial kind of stories. I don't know what kind of mom would tell their daughter these kind of stories, but nonetheless. So it is at least set up pretty decently. It's they're kind of on the run. You're not figuring out what's the story here. They're seeing these creepy kind of ghostly image people that are kind of like stalking them, and all the while they're kind of like just going into these stories, and then it'll come back to what happens, with Tony Todd's character and this little girl a little later, and they'll reveal some stuff there. So that part was all right. And then we roll into our segments. Most of them were actually okay this time around. In comparison to the second one, Tales from the Hood 2 was rather goofy. Obviously, it was just some of those stories were just way, way out of left field. They were just way B movie style goofy in a way. And while these are a little bit more serious in tone, I kind of like a good mixture, like the first one, where we kind of got that B movie horror, but yet some of it was set in horror reality side. It just wasn't over the top. It's like the first one had a good mix. The second one was way goofy. And with the third one, it's kind of like they just want to take a more serious approach, at least with most of these stories. The stories themselves are just okay. Nothing extraordinary, nothing that you're going to walk away and remember, except for the racial one, and I don't want to spoil it in case you want to watch this movie. That one, it really goes for it, and that's what I'm talking about. Like when I say goofy, that one reminded me of the Tales from the Hood 2 with the big racial doll that came alive. And those who saw it, you'll understand what I'm talking about. It was on that level of like, this is just nuts. Doesn't belong here. But yeah, it's better than the second one, but that's not by much. I mean, it's better in terms of cohesiveness, the stories, the pacing is a little bit better this time around. It's not goofy. It's not taking itself like B movie jokey. It's kind of set more on the horror side of things. My only complaint is that the stories themselves, they're just okay, and nothing really felt urban-ish in ways. I would have loved for it to touch a little bit more on subjects that we kind of see going on, you know, police brutality, stuff like that, maybe the healthcare system, maybe property, you know, stuff like that that dealt with tales from the hood, like from the hood side. But all in all, the stories are just okay. The wraparound segment it's fine. Tony Todd does as good as Tony Todd will normally always do. So far, better than second, not quite on the level of the first one, and I think this is good. That's a good ending point. They should not make a Tales from the Hood 4. That's it. You tried twice. You had one that was a miss and one that was just okay. So that's my opinion. So that is it for the review. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for the support on the channel. If you like what you see, if you like more of these reviews, let me know down in the description box. And as always, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you on another review very, very soon. Peace out.